Hello there, man, a lawyer, Blackbright News. Copies can be found at www.issueissuu/Blackbright News. Can read them free of charge, no charge. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on which part of the world you're listening to this video from. Today's video is about Trump's new immigration legislation. Well, I don't even know if it's a legislation, but Haitian man came to the country in 1989. It's not even funny. On an illegal green card. They let him in. They furnish him with a legal green card. Now, 40 years down the line, he decides he wants to apply for citizenship. I don't know why he's waited 40 years, but he has. And now they're looking at how he got into the country in the first place. His green card is likely to be denied, taken away from him, and he's likely to be deported. The man has got married here. I think his spouse is okay. He's got a daughter who's disabled. So he's getting public assistance, another whammy, because as long as you're getting public assistance, or what they call public charge in America, you're not allowed, you're at risk of being deported. By being a permanent resident anyway, you risk deportability. If you commit a crime, if you're a security risk, anything like that. So you're not technically secure. You're still a citizen of the country you were born in. Now, England has something similar to that. For the lawful immigrants, lawful, there's quite a few definitions. Okay, lawful immigrant, that's the one I just described, who's a permanent resident, allowed to work, allowed to buy a house. Incidentally, this guy's got a house, this Haitian guy. So I just hope that he decides to sell it before he gets deported, because there's no way he's going to stay here. But okay, a legal, oh, I'm getting all confused with my phrases now. So a legal immigrant is the equivalent to a permanent resident. So you can work here, you can buy a house, go to school, use public assistance, blah, blah, blah. But you are subject to deportability. Okay. Yeah, that's a permanent resident. A legal or lawful permanent resident has an indefinite leave to remain in the country. We call it a definite leave to remain in the UK. In the United States, you call it lawful permanent resident, which means they have a right to remain in the US indefinitely. I don't know what qualifies for that though. But anyway, it's not like the permanent resident where you get the green card, which is no longer green. It is simply that you can stay. So you're much more secure being a lawful. So hard knowing all these definitions. What did I just say it was? A lawful permanent resident. Okay, so it's much more difficult to get booted out if you're a lawful. Forget it. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that Trump is now making it difficult for people who are green card holders to apply for citizenship, and this is all to get down immigration by 20%. Can't say I blame them. He reckons that over, I think it's 753,000 were granted citizenships. I don't know since when, but you know, if you know that you've got 5 years after you've been in the country for 5 years, you can get permanent citizen. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you wait 40 years? That's my question. What else is there? You can't really, on this one, it's difficult well, it is difficult to fault, because if you are a liability and you're costing the taxpayer, which is his argument, it's very difficult. I don't know if there are mitigating factors. I don't know if it's going to be a blanket statement. Like, I can understand people who are just living off of welfare, and they're not contributing at all. They've never contributed. They used Obamacare or whatever, and they've never contributed. But in the situation like this Haitian guy who's been working for all his life, sometimes 80 hours a week. Was it 80? Yeah, I think 80 hours a week, who's bought a home, who's obviously not a liability except through his daughter who's disabled. I think exceptions should be made for situations like that. I can't imagine, though, that they've got the staff to go through every single person to see whether or not they meet a criteria. I've got a funny feeling that if you're a permanent resident and you have applied for, and you are a public charge, it's like a tongue twister here, and you are a public charge, you're going to be deported sooner or later. So if I were you, if I've only got a green card, because all these lawyers are doing is taking your money, so no point even trying to get them to get you to stay. You might as well use the money that you're going to pay a lawyer to start selling your house, if you've got one, and go back to the country where you are a citizen, because that's basically what's going to happen. And in England, I thought that as long as you were born in the UK, you were a British citizen, but you're not. You have to have been born in the UK and stayed in the UK until you're the age of 10, I believe. And then you can apply for naturalisation. It's not even straightforward. All these things, I think, you take for granted. I'm born here. I was born here in a time where all of these laws and legislations and all this stuff didn't come into play. But now, gosh, if you're not on the ball, you've had it. So you better get on the ball, especially if you're not a legal permanent resident, or you're not a UK British citizen, or if you're not a US citizen. You better be on the ball, because I tell you something, it's going to be a lose-lose situation for all of those green card holders who thought that they were safe and they thought that they were secure. They're not. So let me just say the definition of, I'm going to read out the definition again for those of you who do not know. Definition of a legal immigrant: a non-citizen who is legally permitted to remain in the country. It includes tourists, guest workers, permanent residents, and student visa aliens. A definition of a lawful permanent resident is someone who has been granted the right to live in the United States indefinitely. And the definition of a permanent resident, as distinct to a lawful permanent resident, is a green card holder, which is not green anymore, and they have to prove their status. They have a right to work. They have the right to petition for family members. Feel sorry for them if they've got all their family over here and all, because everybody's getting booted out. They still remain citizens of their originating country, and they don't have a right to vote. If they leave the US and they are found to have been using, and they're found to be a public charge, they're not going to be allowed back. So it's no joke. You better stay put if you're one of them. What else? And you're able to be deported if you commit crimes. If you can be deported even if you don't notify them of your change of address. Can you imagine that? I didn't even know that. And after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. Well, I said that. So basically, I think I've covered everything. All I'm hoping is that if the Haitian guy is on the ball, he's going to start trying to sell his house, so at least he's got the proceeds of sale to live off of. If he's going to wait on lawyers and wait on, you know, some kind of miracle to happen, he's being very foolish and very myopic. So what can I say? I can't really say anything at all. I can't say good, bad or indifferent. It's a lose-lose situation for green card holders, I'm afraid. That's all for now. Bye-bye.